Hi, I'm Lauren,
Hey, I'm Chloe.
and this is the Hustle and Glow podcast.
Let's get ready to party. Hey, ladies, welcome back to another episode of Hustle and Glow with Lauren and Chloe. Today, we're going to talk to you about the beauty of networking. We're going to go over a few tips and tricks that we researched, and along the way, we'll see if we agree with them or how we implement them. And then we're also going to talk about the nitty-gritty of burnout, network burnout, which I have been experiencing lately. So I'm going to pull out my list here. Lauren, do you want to read the first one?
Oh, sure. Have a clear, confident intro that explains who you are and what you do in 1 or 2 sentences. So
That's a good one.
this is like a tip as if say I was saying to you earlier, I feel like I've actually met much younger women at say the Chamber of Commerce or whatever, and I was at a networking event one time, and we had to do a thing where you turn to your neighbor and you tell them something interesting about yourself. And this young woman looks at me and she's like, there's nothing interesting about me. And she's like, I just don't know what to say. I just feel like when I do stuff like this, I just never know what to say. And I felt bad for her because I'm like, I'm sure there are interesting things about you, girl. Don't think that, but I can see how, especially being someone who maybe hasn't come into their own skin or might not necessarily know who they are yet, might feel like there's nothing interesting about me. So that's where I feel like this tip comes in, because if you can think of, and they call it your elevator pitch, right? If you can think of what's my elevator pitch going into a networking event, that's great. However, I will caution that may, if you have this rehearsed, framed elevator pitch going into something, you may come off very disingenuous, very salesy, and not as personable or personal as you may want to be at a networking event. Yes, networking is for business, but networking is also about building relationships.
I agree. Was this girl younger?
Yeah, she was in her probably mid-20s.
Yeah. Oh, well, that kind of makes you realize that probably a lot of people in that room felt that way, on the spot. What?
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever went to this one, but I used to go to this networking event at the Chamber, and it was almost like speed dating. Yeah. Where you're at a group, you get a number, you go to that table, and you take turns. You have 30 seconds or so to give your pitch. And that, for me, was great for this, to kind of easily explain to someone who has no industry knowledge what I do, and also just be assertive about it.
Right.
Because you can go on and on.
Yeah.
What you do.
True.
But I would say that that's a really good tip. Second one is have a signature introduction. Create a short, polished intro that feels like you, covers what you do, and hints at what you're passionate about. So, yeah, sometimes when I'm at networking events, I don't always lean in right away about what I do professionally. I'll maybe comment on, a trip or what I like to do, artistic wise, or what kind of music I'm into, and that gets the dialogue going, and then the business comes later. Right.
Yeah.
Just kind of getting to know them on another level.
Yes, and that kind of goes into not being a fake, disingenuous person that's just there to make the sale. As you're talking and saying what you're saying, I'm thinking about I've been at the same speed networking events at the Chamber as well. But what I like to do is as we're going around the table and I'm really paying attention to what people are saying, really listening to what people are saying. And then when it comes around to my turn, I'll turn to so-and-so next to me or across the table and say, first of all, I just want to say that what Sally said over here sounds really, really cool. Like riding a horse in Jamaica on the beach, like call out whatever she mentioned in her little spiel, because that's really showing to other people that you are listening and you're paying attention and you're absorbing, engaged in that information.
Yeah.
So I think it's important. Like networking is just as much about explaining who you are as it is about listening and being able to have a two-way conversation.
Yeah. And I'm going to add in a bonus faux pas of what not to do there is when your time is up, do not keep going.
Yeah.
Have you ever been there? It's so awkward where the timer will go off and your turn, it's time for the next person. And somebody will just keep going.
Yeah.
One time I was at a neighborhood networking group, and we kind of had the same thing going around the circle. And there was this realtor. She said her spiel. And then we went around the room. And then my friend, who's a realtor, was sitting right next to me. And she starts with her spiel. And right in the middle of her spiel, this one jumps in and adds something and takes up the rest of the time. It's such lack of self-awareness. And she was even like a very successful, well-known realtor. But I feel I would bet that she would get more business and more people like her if
she would calm down
a little bit less obsessed.
A little bit less disrespectful of other people's time.
I really like this one. Read number 3.
Yeah, this is perfect. And this is the one that I think so many people get wrong. So ask smart, open-ended questions. Networking becomes easier when you shift your focus onto others and ask things about them, like what inspired you to get into your current role? What's something you're working on right now that you're excited about? What challenges have you solved? This says women often excel at creating rapport, use that strength. And again, I mean, this all kind of I feel like I didn't even see any of these before this we started talking. But we're kind of, it's all coming full circle. Like it's all just taking form of like what we think you should do at a networking event, and obviously what you should do, because we're always right.
Always.
But I think asking questions is so important. And that's a really good way to also deflect if you don't know what to say about yourself. Ask the other person questions. And then you may start to think of, oh, yeah, you're right. You know what? I really like hip hop music too. Or, or whatever. Like we should take a dance class one time together, I think leaning on that, so often people do overlook the asking of the questions. And then the second part of that would be to actually actively listen to the answers to those questions.
This reminds me of our previous episode. Remember when we did fake friends? Did we do something about that? Yes, we did. Fake friends already. And how do you know whether they're a real friend or a frenemy, right? And this is something I've picked up in networking too, is every time I see this person, they're never asking me. I know they never ask me about me. They're only talking about what they've got going on. That's extremely off-putting.
Yeah. Or if somebody says, so what have you been up to lately? And then they don't even really let you finish. And they're like, so let me tell you about myself, because that has happened to me too. So
yeah. And it just goes so well with friendships, relationships, right? Your spouse, asking them about that, which leads me to number 4. I'm constantly checking myself on this one, because my worst fear is to just come across that way.
Right.
Because we're all busy as hell. We have a million things on our to-do list. Businesses, projects, home chores. And I never want to forget to follow up with you. Like I may not always have chance to like send something for a special occasion, but it takes like 2 seconds to send a text. Like, when you and Mike were going through that awful situation with Mike's mom. I wanted to make sure that I checked up on you, which number 4 is follow up thoughtfully. You know, a coworker is expecting their first grandchild, right? Or they're getting married, or they are looking for a new job, right? Something bad happened.
Yeah.
Listen, follow up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I think that goes with networking too. When you're meeting people for the first time, how often have you been to an event where somebody clearly got your business card or got your phone number, your email, and you get this like scripted email that they clearly sent to everybody. It's not even addressed to your name. It's just like, I know you attended Networking 101 and here's what I want to sell you. It's like, no, delete. That's the first thing I'm going to do is delete that email, because on the contrary, I met a woman at an event a couple months ago. I didn't hear from her for a couple weeks, but when I did hear from her, she followed up. She touched on the subject that we discussed, that we talked about. She invited me to another event, and she remembered our conversation. She remembered my interests, and it was directed to me. It wasn't a scripted standard follow-up email trying to sell me on something. So that's just another example of following up thoughtfully.
I think that you kind of have to experience a faux pas to, you know, have the self-awareness to not ever do it yourself too.
Yeah. Well, you could experience the faux pas as doing it.
Yep.
Or someone could do that to you. And then you're like, okay, check. I'm never going to do that to anybody.
Yeah. I feel that sometimes when you're in sales, you are put in situations where you are kind of grasping at straws, where you are looking at all of your contacts and you're like, who in here could use my help, right? Who in here could maybe help me reach my numbers, right? So you may go through your business cards, tell them about a promotion that you have going on. I've personally done that, and it makes me cringe. I look back and I'm like, well, you know what? I had to go through that to know better, to know what it's like to receive that, and to know how it makes me feel to do that. Because some people are so shameless. They don't care. They'll sell to anybody.
Yep. That was like about 2 years ago, actually. I entered a sales role, brand new product, brand new line of business for a company. And I know, in my experience, in my over 20 years of being a marketing person or just being in business, that sales it's not just sales. It's not just cold calls, picking up the phone and calling. Sales is about relationships. And so immediately I jumped into building relationships, meeting people for coffee, figuring out what their needs were, figuring out where their pain points were, figuring out how I could then use those pain points or their needs, and then I would meet with the CEO of the company, and he's like, so how many cold calls did you do today? How many emails did you send? And I'm like, I'm trying to tell you how I'm cultivating relationships with either the perfect client or someone who knows a lot of people that are the perfect client. So that's what I'm doing. I'm not picking up the phone and getting hung up on. Also, the idea of a cold call nowadays, no one's answering the phone.
Oh, I've just had that discussion this week. Consumers, we've evolved.
We're smart.
We know all the tricks, right?
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. I'm not even getting past the first 3 words. Like, I just get that vibe. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be a part of it. I don't want to be a part of that culture.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. The best, business relationships are from building rapport. And I'll say it time and time again. I feel like it's not authentic. And some people are really good at it. I'm not. So
no. Yeah. I mean, there's this one guy that I've bought advertising with a number of times in the past, and that's actually his. I mean, he's in New York. He's a New Yorker. Not that there's anything wrong with New Yorkers, but he like fast talks and stuff. But I know that I'm just on his dial list.
Mm-hmm.
So about every month I get a phone call from him, and usually I don't answer it because I got nothing for him. Like, I'm not going to buy. So, but I do like him because I actually have forged a little relationship with him.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we're friends on Facebook and stuff or whatever. So once in a while I answer just to have a conversation with him and just see like how he's doing, what's up,
Mm-hmm.
which he is a really nice guy. And in the years that I've known him, he has really taken care of me. Like when Mike and I got married, he found out where we were staying and he sent champagne and chocolate covered strawberries to our room.
That's extra nice.
Right. So like that's an example of a really smart salesperson too, right? So like make that person feel really special. But now I feel so bad because like I said, I got nothing for him and I feel so bad because I'm like, I'm not going to answer, But he tells me, he's like, it's okay. It's cool. I'm just going to keep calling. I'm just going to call every month. And maybe one of these times you'll have something for me.
Yeah. Just say, check back in 6 months. And then we have the final one, number 5. I think it's your turn to read, Lauren.
Diversify your circle. It's natural to gravitate toward people who feel familiar to you, but it's really important, obviously, to kind of diversify your circle. I definitely agree with that. And I think I've kind of always been that way. It's funny because Mike and I talk about that often, about like even growing up and in high school and stuff. Like I was kind of like, I was friends with the jocks, and then I was friends, like I was in like, the I would say just like the honors classes or whatever. So like, I was friends with people who were more scholarly, and then I was friends with the stoners sometimes,
same.
So and then I was a cheerleader, and I was on student council, and I volunteered. So there's like all of these different circles, and I think often I'm seen as that friend that brings the friends together.
Yeah.
Where you're going to meet. That's why I was so upset that you couldn't come to my birthday party, because I felt like there was a lot of people that I would have wanted you to meet.
That's when I was in Philly, right?
No, it was when you were prepping. And so maybe you were in Philly that day. But you basically also said like, I'm prepping for the bikini competition, so there's no point in me going and drinking. I'm not drinking mimosas.
It was the same weekend though.
It was. You were up in Philly. But it's funny because I actually kind of like forced Megan to go, my best friend, because she was like, do I have to go? I'm like, yes, because we have been best friends since 2nd grade, and we've both lived here in Florida for over 3 years, and you've never even met most of my friends. Like, you have to come. So she did, and I think she's glad. I think she is glad that she did, and she got to like know some of these people that I've been talking about,
Yeah. I'm going to add an extra one. That's going to be listen out for what people need help with, because givers gain, right? If you can bring them, if they're looking for a contact in construction, or they're looking for a real estate agent, or, they need a baker, help them find what they need, not in a self-serving way, like you're completely out of the equation, and they'll be so grateful for that, and it'll come back to you one way or another, right?
That was one of the things that I definitely took note of when I moved here to Tampa Bay, as opposed to networking in Philly. That was the first thing that people said: how can I help you? Who can I introduce you to? Because that's what it's all about. And that's how you build these bigger circles, these more diverse, these bigger circles, right? So, I think asking how can I help, and not self-serving at all. You're literally just givers. What did you say?
Givers gain.
That was good. I like that. I never heard it.
It's from BNI. I learned that in BNI. I'm not a part of that anymore. It was a good chapter, and it served me well when I was in it. But I learned a lot. It's almost like a continuing education course in business networking. Yeah. You should definitely visit one and consider it if you're a small business. But it is a little culty, I like it. It's very strict. You can't miss anything, but you hold each other accountable, but yeah, you have like one seat per per industry.
Per industry, yeah.
And you're encouraged to refer to each other. The only other than the lack of flexibility, the only thing that I found troubling with it is because you are encouraged to just use each other in the group for whatever services or refer to friends and family, colleagues. If that referral in your group doesn't do a good job, that's on you for referring. You know, you kind of feel bad.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Like if my uncle is getting his house painted, he needs a painter, and I'm going to refer Johnny from my BNI to go paint, and he like leaves mud everywhere. And this actually happened to some friends of mine. Similar situation. But now they're like, I hate that I was forced to use him or felt pressure to use him, but
or refer him. Yeah.
So that's the only downside.
But
otherwise, it is a very educational, and it's a good experience. For me.
You know what's funny, when I first moved here, I feel like I hit the circuit. You know, like I was out, I was networking, I was trying to, because there's a ton of networking opportunities and groups in the Tampa Bay St. Pete area. And in the roles that I was in, it made sense because I was doing sales, I was doing business development, I was out trying to just meet people in general. When you move to a new state, a new city, you don't know anybody. Like, how do you do that? And I think the best way is to find these networking opportunities. But anyway, I mean, I hit it hard, and I feel like now I'm done. Like, I'm done with the networking stuff, you know, which with my job now, which I know I'm going to be in for a while, there's no need for me to be networking in the Tampa Bay area. So
hallelujah.
Yeah. But the thing is that I've met so many great, like you and I met at the Chamber of Commerce, you know. I was actually at a friend's house over the weekend, and she said to me, she's from Philly, like we were friends in Philly, and then we all moved down here together. But she's like, Lauren, you have really created this wonderful group of friends. Like I know that you've created these great relationships with people. How did you meet all these people? And I said, Chamber of Commerce, honestly.
That's how I have too.
Yeah. But I think
Kaylee,
talking about burnout, right? So
I'm the same as you. When I was initially moved into a business development role back in 2022, I had never really done networking before. So I'm like, wow, this is great. I get to wear all my nice outfits and, you know, test this out. And it was a little nerve-wracking at first. And then I started collecting friends and, you know, acquaintances. And I feel like I'm a little bit of a friend collector.
Yeah.
My husband's like, no new friends.
That's how Mike is too. Mike's like, I can't keep up. Like, I can't remember everybody's names.
Like, and everywhere I go, I make a friend. I swear. You know, even if I never really see them again.
Right.
I'm always making friends.
No, we're the same way.
Yes. That's why we're friends.
Yeah.
But I did that, and then 6 months into it, I broke my arm, and I was homebound. And after like a couple months where I still had my cast on, I was like ready to get back out there. You know, everybody said, where'd Chloe go?
Yeah.
So I went back in, and then with my falling role in sales, then I really had to network. That's when I joined the BNI, and that's like an every week thing, early morning. And, you know, I wanted to make those sales based on warm relationships. So I had continued networking, and I looked for fun events that I would enjoy, like breakfasts or, you know, sunset networking at Fleming's, right? And things like that. But I guess just eventually, I don't know. Now I almost can't be bothered.
No, I feel the same way. Like I hate evening stuff. I don't want to go out.
I don't do evenings, and I can't because of Braden's schedule.
Right.
That's my excuse that I love to use.
Yeah. And then, well, like I said, it's not really relevant with anything that I do now, whether it be my fitness or my full-time role of working for a hotel company. But yeah, the evening stuff, I never enjoyed going to. And I have friends, acquaintances that are literally out every night. And I'm like, I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, I know what you're
legit
talking
don't know how
about.
you do it.
I know. And I get invited to a lot of evening stuff.
Yeah.
And every time I'm like, I can't, I'm
I
on mom
know.
duty. I'm on mom duty. And that's fine with me. I would rather be at home,
Yeah.
with my family. But I guess when would we discern the time when burnout has hit? Is it when we have an event tomorrow night and we're just like not looking forward
Right.
to it versus before we're like, oh, what are we
Yeah.
gonna wear? What
Yeah.
are we gonna wear?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And there also comes a point where you, with some things, it's like you're seeing the same people over and over and over again. Like at the social club that you were a member of, and I was very involved in that club as well. I'm not going to name names, but it's a lot of the same people there all the time.
Mhm.
And if you haven't either gotten business or done business at a certain point, it's like, why am I still showing up?
Mhm.
Besides if you're just friends, but you
Mhm.
don't need to go to a networking event to hang out with your friends.
Have you ever tried virtual networking events?
Maybe like during COVID, like
Mhm.
actually up in Philly, I worked for a construction association then, and it was my job to plan events. And when COVID hit, I was like, oh shit, like I was the one that was like planning all of the happy hours and doing all of the construction site tours, and I worked with the young professionals group and everything. And then COVID hit, and it was like, oh well, we can't go have drinks anymore. Like, what do we do? So we had to get really creative. But tell me what you've experienced.
Well, I really haven't done too much of it. I've done one Boss Babes networking group, and it's so funny. They accidentally booted me out within the first 10 minutes.
You're like, oh.
So I didn't even get to experience it. But there's a website similar to LinkedIn, but a little different. It's called Alignable. Have you heard of it?
I have heard of it, yeah.
I'm on it. And you have your network on there, mostly people that you know, and they can refer good connections to you. But they do have some virtual events on there too.
Okay.
And that's part of the thing is getting all dressed up, driving to the place, driving back, maybe exploring in a virtual setting would be
more convenient.
It's free.
Yeah.
You can be business up top and cash on the bottom.
No, it's funny because I'm actually I wrote a chapter for a book that's going to be published in March.
Oh
so
my gosh.
More to come on that once it launches, and you are definitely invited to the launch party. It's going to be at Oxford Exchange in Tampa.
This is huge.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I can't believe you haven't told me. You're going to drop the bomb on here live.
But the other people that also wrote for the book, we've never really met in person. I've only met a few of them in person, but we have our Zoom meetings in the evenings, and so we all kind of chat. Everybody will bring their wine, and
that makes it tolerable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of wine, we're gonna have some after this.
Yeah, we are gonna have some after this for our little holiday episode. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I think I'm gonna try some out, and I'll let you know how it goes.
Cool.
But definitely you should make a profile.
I must have joined Alignable at one point in time because I do get emails from people once in a while that are like, I'm on Alignable and I want to connect with you, and I'm like, I already know who you are, bro.
Yeah, but they're supposed to send you people.
Right. That's how it works. So I will check it out. I kind of thought it was spam.
Oh yeah.
It's not.
If it's free, it's for me.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Now, mind you, they do have an upgrade version, but I shan't be investing in that.
Yeah. Not yet, unless it proves to be successful for you. But
absolutely.
All right. Well.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us today on this awesome episode of Hustle and Flow.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I hope we gave some good takeaways and tips for networking. I know it can be really stressful and maybe a little bit intimidating walking into a networking situation. So feel free to reach out if you ever have questions or want some tips and tricks on, how to build your network and how to maybe increase some business development opportunities.
Yeah, I would say find some networking events that are taking place at venues that you would enjoy going to, right? A wine tasting, Top Golf, right? Something like that where everybody's a little less guarded and can be themselves.
And you know what? I am so sorry. I know we're wrapping up, but one big quick tip that I have to point out is if you do go to a networking event with a friend or a coworker, make it a point to walk away from those people and meet new people. Because how often do you walk into an event and you see like people whispering in the corner and they're like buddy friends or they're standing at a table together and they're clearly closed off, not welcoming other people in. So I would say that that's one recommendation, and have that pact with that person that you're attending the event with to say, hey, at some point let's walk away and let's see how many people we can meet.
And we'll touch base here. This is home base.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love it.
Well, we'll see you next time. Thanks everybody for joining.
All right, thanks so much.
Bye.
That's a wrap on this episode of Hustle and Glow. If you love what you heard, make sure to hit subscribe, leave us a review, and share this episode with the women that you love.
And don't forget to connect with us on Instagram. We love hearing your stories, questions, and wins. You can find our Instagram handles in the information.
Now, keep hustling, keep glowing, and remember, you are strong, you are capable, and you are never alone.
Until next time, stay fierce and fabulous.